Dana White insists he can't rely on Jon Jones for UFC White House, trusts Conor McGregor. Welcome to Fights, the ultimate home of UFC breaking news, shocking updates, and every story that sets the MMA universe on fire. Stay tuned because here the real action begins. Morning Report. Dana White insists he can't rely on Jon Jones for UFC White House, trusts Conor McGregor. In the ever-evolving landscape of combat sports, trust is currency, and UFC CEO Dana White has made it crystal clear where his trust lies when it comes to the most powerful stages. In his latest remarks, White didn't hold back when addressing the ongoing question of who truly represents the face of the UFC in high-profile arenas such as the White House. The CEO revealed that despite Jon Jones' legendary resume inside the cage, he cannot place the same level of reliance on him compared to Conor McGregor, a fighter who continues to maintain White's confidence no matter how turbulent the ride has been. Jon Jones is often cited as the most talented fighter to ever compete in mixed martial arts. With a record of dominance that stretches back over a decade, his skill set is practically unmatched. Yet his legacy has been marred by controversies, failed drug tests, run-ins with the law, and a pattern of unpredictability that leaves promoters in a perpetual state of worry. For White, who has had to clean up the messes and smooth over headlines time and again, Jones is no longer the man he can count on when the UFC steps into the political spotlight or when the sport's biggest moments demand reliability. That is where Conor McGregor enters the conversation. McGregor, the Irish superstar who transcended MMA to become a global cultural figure, has also had his share of controversies. But there is a fundamental difference in how White views him. McGregor, when called upon to deliver for the UFC, has historically risen to the occasion in ways that draw record-breaking numbers and keep the company in the headlines for the right reasons. White described his trust in McGregor not as blind loyalty, but as a proven understanding that the Irishman knows how to show up for the UFC when it matters most, whether that's a fight week spectacle, a promotional appearance, or a symbolic gathering such as a White House visit. The White House question is no small matter. Presidents and administrations, regardless of party, have long courted championship teams and superstar athletes for celebratory visits. For the UFC, which has always strived for mainstream acceptance and recognition alongside other major sports leagues, sending the right ambassador to the nation's highest office carries significant weight. White has made it clear that in his eyes, Jon Jones does not represent the dependable figure the UFC needs for such occasions. The risk of last-minute chaos or controversy is simply too high. On the other hand, Conor McGregor, even with his reputation as a brash and flamboyant showman, embodies a reliability and star power that White believes projects the UFC in the right light. This stance reveals as much about the UFC's internal politics as it does about the fighters themselves. Jon Jones remains the reigning heavyweight champion and, by many accounts, the greatest fighter of all time. His achievements in the octagon cannot be denied, from his dominance over light heavyweight greats to his triumphant return at heavyweight. Yet the UFC is more than just athletic dominance. It is a global brand that must safeguard its image at every turn. White's words underline that the company places a premium on trust, and in his calculation, Jones simply does not offer that assurance. For McGregor, this is another reminder of how unique his relationship with the UFC has always been. Despite years without a consistent win streak, despite injuries, despite legal troubles, he remains the centerpiece of the UFC's promotional machine. When McGregor speaks, the world listens. When McGregor fights, arenas sell out and pay-per-view numbers soar. That kind of clout makes him indispensable. And White's confidence in him reflects not only past results, but a bet on McGregor's future as a reliable figurehead in the company's continued push into mainstream culture. Critics will point out that McGregor's record in recent years pales in comparison to Jones's dominance, and that his extracurricular controversies have been nearly as frequent. But in White's eyes, it comes down to control. McGregor may be wild in his words, but he is measured in his loyalty to the UFC brand. He knows the value of the platform, and when the lights are brightest, he leans into that role rather than shying away. Jones, on the other hand, has often alienated the promotion with decisions that put his personal battles above the company's broader needs. For a promoter, that difference is everything. White's remarks also shed light on how the UFC continues to balance sport and spectacle. The UFC has never been shy about marketing personalities as much as it markets competition. McGregor is proof of that strategy paying dividends. His ability to captivate audiences regardless of his win-loss record speaks to the entertainment value that drives the UFC's bottom line. By openly siding with McGregor over Jones in the context of trust, White reinforces the notion that being the best fighter is not enough to be the face of the UFC. One must also be the most reliable, the most marketable, and the most strategically aligned with the company's vision. For Jones, this could be another bruise to his already complex relationship with the UFC. While his status as champion secures him opportunities in the cage, White's words suggest that outside the octagon, his role as a representative of the UFC is diminished. That may not affect Jones's pursuit of legacy inside the cage, but it does highlight the separation between athletic greatness and organizational trust. Looking ahead, the conversation raises intriguing questions about the UFC's future ambassadors. If not Jones, then McGregor. But if not McGregor, then who? Rising stars are emerging in every division, from Sean O'Malley to Islam Makhachev, but none yet carry the same proven mainstream weight. White's faith in McGregor underscores the UFC's continued reliance on proven stars rather than taking risks on untested personalities in moments of national or global exposure. As the UFC's profile continues to rise, the company's presence at institutions like the White House will only become more frequent. Choosing who to send, who to trust, and who embodies the spirit of the UFC in those settings will remain a delicate balance. For now, Dana White has made his choice clear. Conor McGregor, the unpredictable yet dependable showman, holds his trust. Jon Jones, the untouchable fighter whose life outside the cage has too often been unpredictable, does not. This declaration is more than just a headline. It is a statement about what the UFC values most when the eyes of the world are watching. For White, talent is indispensable, but trust is irreplaceable. And in that equation, Conor McGregor comes out on top. Thanks for watching Fights, your front row seat to every knockout, comeback, and breaking UFC moment. Like, share, and subscribe to never miss the next big fight.